In this video, we are going to be doing word problems involving percent. So let's look at an example. A credit card company charges 0.047% interest per day for credit. This is actually a very realistic number. So let's look at question 1. Let's write this interest rate per day in decimal form. So recall that to change a percent to a decimal, we need to divide that percent by 100. So we're going to take 0.047 and divide it by 100, and that's going to give us 0.00047 per day. And then question 2 asks, what is the annual rate of interest? So that's for the whole year for this credit card, and we're going to use the business year of 360 days per year. I realize that that is not the exact number of days in a year. Write your answer in percent form. So what we're going to do is take that decimal that we got, and we're going to set up kind of like a ratio with fractions and use our conversion of 360 days per year to get our decimal. So since I want my days to cancel, I'm going to put 360 days on top of my second fraction, and then 1 year is going to go on the bottom. The unit of days is going to cancel out, and then I'm just going to be multiplying those two fractions. And so I only need to multiply the tops, the numerator, because 1 times 1 will give us 1 in the denominator, and we don't need that. And so that gives us a decimal of 0.1692 per year, but it's asking us to write our answer in percent form. And so to change a decimal to percent, we have to multiply that decimal by 100. So we're going to do that now. 0.1692 times 100 will give us 16.92% per year for our annual rate of interest. Okay, let's look at a profit and an investment example. We're going to calculate the percentage of profit for investment A. We want to express our answer in percent form, and we're going to round to the nearest hundredths place if necessary. That's 2 places after the decimal. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my fraction. I'm going to put my profit of 322 over the total investment amount of 2,705. I'm going to use my calculator to get a decimal, and I'm going to, since I am going to be rounding later, I do want to make sure that I include enough places after the decimal. So I got 0.1190 for my decimal, but it's asking us to express it in percent form. So to change a decimal to a percent, we're going to multiply that decimal by 100. And so that's going to give me 11.90% for in the investment A. And then we are going to do the same thing for calculating the percentage of profit for investment B, and we're going to express it in percent form as well. And so I'm going to take the profit of 254 and I'm going to divide it by the total investment amount of 1,810, and I get my decimal of 0.1403. But that's not how I want my answer. I want it to be in percent form. So to change a decimal to a percent, I'm going to multiply that decimal by 100, and then I'm going to end up getting 14.03%. So if we were comparing the two investments, investment B would be the better option since it's got a higher percentage for the profit. Okay, let's look at our final example. Let's consider the following table. We're going to determine what percentage of the table is red, and it's indicated with an R, and we want to express our answer in percent form. So the first step is we need to count how many colors are represented in the table and how many blocks there are, and there's a total of 8. And so then we're going to count how many reds there are in the table, and there's 4. So that would be 4 out of 8. And then we're going to divide those two numbers to get our decimal of 0.5. But we do want a percentage, and so we're going to have to take that decimal and multiply it by 100, and that's going to give us 50% for red. And now we're going to determine what percentage of the table is white. It's going to be indicated with a W, and that's only 1 out of the 8. In the table that is going to be white, and when we divide that, we're going to get a decimal of 0.1403. 125, and to change that to percent, we're going to multiply that by 100, and that's going to give us 12.5%. And then lastly, we're going to determine what percentage of the table is green. It's indicated with a G, and we want to express that answer in percent form as well. And so there are 3 greens out of 8, and that gives us a decimal of 0.375, and we're going to change that to a percentage by multiplying by 100. And we're going to get our answer to be 37.5%. Now, the nice thing about this, and since we have represented the red, green, and white, and that covers the entire table, if we were to add all of these percentages together, you should end up with 100%, and that's how you know that you did that correctly.